Okay, all right, here we go. All right, testing. Welcome to Monday Chat for anyone that's nosy and just wants to know how the heck it's going with me starting freelance. The entire point of having these check-ins is to just talk, sit down, be completely transparent, and explain what on earth is going on with my business, where's my head, and it really suits the purpose for anyone who's just nosy, is thinking about doing this on their own, and just has no idea where to start. What went well, what did not go well. I think that the best advice that was given to me is there will be highs and lows and everything in between. So I really want to be as transparent as I possibly can about this process. So like always, I am awkward. I took notes so I can at least stay on track. I really want to make these talks valuable to you. I want anyone who's interested to be able to follow along and see how things are going in case they want to take this dive into freelancing and see where it goes for them. Because I don't know. It's weird. So for doing this, I'm not freaking talk. I hate this. I've been wanting to be successful on YouTube for 10 or 15 years now. And I'll do videos and they'll suck so bad. And then I'll just want to throw my camera out the window, really, because I'm like, this sucks, this is horrible, this is terrible. But I know now that if you just stick with it and you take one freaking day at a time, you can get there. You can get there. So this is me trying to get there. We'll see. We will see. I may cut this all the fuck out, Anyway, I am literally talking to a water bottle right now. I'm trying not to creepily stare into the camera or stare too much to the side at my reflection. I'm trying to balance the lighting because I felt like the lighting in my last video was absolutely terrible. I feel like there's so many things to work on. So what went well last week? Well, I think the biggest thing that went well is I was able to calm down after running a huge sale for one of my clients. When you're in paid search and you're running sales, it's all hands on deck. It's high stress time. The client has very specific revenue goals and you are pushing to make sure that the client achieves those revenue goals. Now, that being said, there are times when I'm running a sale that I question, if I were not as tuned in, would the sale have still gone as well? How do I say this? Are the levers that I'm pulling actually impacting the sale? Had I not pulled those levers, would the money come in anyway? I don't know, because during sale periods, I do not take my hand off the steering wheel. Like, if you give that analogy, I have a death grip on it and I'm looking at bids, I'm looking at what's going on. And I guess, I don't bid manually. So I'm looking at the ROAS targets, I'm looking at the actual sales coming in. I'm reminding myself that it's not real time. I'm looking at my campaign budgets. I'm making sure that the ads are running, that the copy is aligned, that nothing has broken, that everything is going as planned. So last week, I would say what went well is that we came down off of the sale nicely. And when I say that, I mean emotionally, all of us that worked all weekend for the sale. But what I also meant is the account itself, the numbers started to normalize fairly quickly in this case. So it was something that I was watching, making sure that the account wasn't overspending because we had it paced so high during the sale, and doing all that optimization and lever pulling to make sure that we didn't sort of crash after the sale where we were spending an astronomical amount of money and not necessarily bringing in the revenue because the big discounts were not there. So that was something that I feel like went very well this past week. Another thing that went well is just my mental health. I was able to spend all of Friday cleaning. I got loads of laundry done. I finally am looking around the house and I see some level of cleanliness. I'm able to outline distinct tasks that I want to do this week. I was able to catch up on things that are what I would consider to be work tasks, in that they help the family, but not necessarily for my business, like the PTO board things that I had to do, like getting a fundraiser organized for my child's gymnastics board. I was able to take care of the things that I committed to in our personal life that benefit our family. So I would definitely say that that would be another thing that went really well last week. I would also say my husband's mood. Again, I know that this doesn't directly apply to my business, but when I look at my business, I look at me as a person and my family, and how what I am doing contributes to the family. And I would say that that also was something that went well. Everyone just seemed a little bit more relaxed this past week. Again, a great thing, something that we've all needed, and part of the reason why I made this decision to go freelance and move in this direction. So super helpful. I also spent a lot of time working on my decks. So again, I've said it before, I am going to San Diego to do a talk on paid search. I'm talking about paid search projections. That went really well. I was able to get that deck in a really good place. I also, at the end of the deck, have a giveaway. I was able to start that template and build in that process. So at the end of my speech, somebody will be able to come in, and on the last page, they'll be able to go to a website with a landing page, and they'll be able to download a Google Doc that basically is a template for how to project the performance on paid search campaigns. I think that's huge because it serves a couple purposes. The first purpose is that at the end of my speech, people who have attended get a little bit of a takeaway. The second purpose is it helps me build that contact list and that email list for my business. So definitely something that I'm excited about. I'm glad I did that, and that went well. I also have mentioned I'm doing a talk at the Ohio State University. I needed to work on that deck. I feel like right now that deck is in a good place, and that makes me feel really, really happy because I'm excited about that talk, and I of course will vlog about it and talk about it, and so it's something that I'm excited about for the upcoming week. I think that talk is actually next week at Ohio State's campus. What did not go well? I don't really feel like I had a schedule. Now, I don't know that I will have a schedule this week either. I felt a little bit of anxiety because I ended up taking my Outlook and my Teams off of my phone, so I don't feel as connected to my job that I'm doing 10 hours a week, and that gave me a little bit of anxiety. And then also, I had to follow the schedules of basically my client and what was already on my schedule. So I didn't really have set work hours. I just knew that I had to get in 10 hours a week. So I worked sometimes at 2 in the afternoon and sometimes at 1 and then an hour at 9. And it really didn't feel like there was any routine. So it's something that I definitely want to improve on next week. Also, I spent so much time on these decks, so much time. So that means I was not able to do any outreach for new business. I didn't get on my Peloton. I didn't do my workouts. I didn't join a yoga studio. I didn't do a lot of the personal development things that I want to do and I wanted to build into my business, because as I look at my business, and I said this in the earlier of what went well, just really, really holistically. What I do needs to fit in with my family and my life and prioritize me and my personal goals. And so I don't really feel like I got that this week. I also felt a little bit directionless, if that makes sense. So I think when you're looking at your business, obviously you need to carve out some time to new business development, right? Get new leads, get new business, talk to people. I spent no time doing that, I'll be honest. I spent most of my time on the decks. I cleaned my house. I got my life together, as Cody Rigsby says on Peloton. Get your life together. I got my life together. Now, again, is that a bad thing? I mean, I would say it wasn't where I would want it to be yet. And so this week I sat down Sunday night, I did some planning, I built in time in my schedule that's deliberate with my top 3 goals. And that will be the biggest thing that I want to do moving forward. It's just really build that time in to do the tasks that need to get done. So I'm not spending all my time doing talks and basically, I guess, I don't even know if you would call it outreach, but basically just community building my name up with no direct call to action or tie back to getting myself business so I can get paid, right? Huge. All right, I want to see how much time is left here because I want to be able to have a conversation for a while, but I don't want to go on and on so long that people are losing their mind. So we talked about what went well, what did not go so well, and then I also have who the heck am I, right? Because if you are watching this, I told you that I want to do these chats. I want to drive transparency when it comes to running your own freelance business. But who am I? So I am Sarah. I am a paid search manager by trade, which means I manage Google Ads campaigns. I can also manage Google Bing, or Google Bing, what the heck. I can also manage Bing campaigns, but most advertisers these days do not spend money in Bing because the market share isn't big enough. But I manage Google Ads campaigns. I do paid search for my job, and that is what I do. And I am now a full-time freelancer doing that. If this is something that you're interested in, feel free to follow along. If it's something that you want to do, again, feel free to follow along. If you are a freelancer doing something else, like copywriting or video editing or graphic design or social media management, feel free to follow along with the paid search manager and see what it looks like on our side of the media. Oh, all right. So now that I've told you who the heck I am, what a typical day look like. And I kind of talked about this when I talked about what went well and what didn't went well. A typical day was a little bit chaotic, but I had more time. So the biggest thing that I noticed for me in a typical day was that I was able to get up, get my kids ready, and not just immediately log in. Now, I would like to improve that this week and maybe have some work time in the morning. I would like to have a set schedule, but I was not as rushed. So a typical day was not as rushed, and I always made time for cleaning, for laundry, for personal things. I think that is the biggest change that I saw in my life this past week that I hadn't had before. I was not keeping up with anything when I was working at my agency job. Anything. I was keeping up with nothing. And that was not good for me. And so that's sort of what a typical day looked like. So I guess I'll kind of go over, I would get up, I would check my accounts, I would check my meetings on my computer. I dilly-dallied with my daughter, got all my kids on the bus, and then by 9 o'clock I sat down at my work computer. I would check in there, look at the accounts, and then after that I would transfer over to my personal computer, the one that I use for my business, and I would spend 5 or 6 hours just working on my decks. It was a busy week. I still felt to some degree chained to my desk, but a little bit less so because I was able to make that time to put on laundry, take out laundry, fold laundry. And I also knew, and I've always known that that time is important. So it was, like I said, a little bit better. I also took a lot of walks. I should have added that. Took a lot of walks. Where am I struggling? Oh boy. I mean, this I think would be big. I still don't feel in full transparency clear about what I'm going to do. So my services that I offer are ongoing management, so managing paid search campaigns, auditing, so I go ahead and take an existing account and I'll audit for obviously a fee, strategy in that I will take a business situation and turn it into a Google Ads strategy. And if that strategy is based on an existing account, I would need to do the audit first and then turn that into a strategy. And then the last service that I offer is coaching. So that is a service where if people come to me with their ad challenges, then I dive in for an hour and help them solve them. Or I just open an ads account and answer all their questions. Or how other clients have used it in the past is if there is a more junior team, they bring me in for an hour a week or an hour every other week, and I just answer all the questions that the team has about managing their account. So again, my service is ongoing management, audits, strategy, and coaching. And then the last piece of that is I also offer this, what we would call like an agency white labeling. It can sometimes be called contracting, which is kind of what I'm doing for the agency that I used to work for full time, in that I simply service their client. I look like I belong with the agency. In this case, I do actually belong with the agency, and I service the client just as I would, just as a normal employee would for the agency. So it's called agency white labeling, or again, contracting. And that is so an agency doesn't have to have a full-time person on an account. They just bring someone in part-time to work on the account. And it's great for agencies because they don't have to hire one person for one client. And if the client leaves, they just get rid of the contractor. And there's seriously no hard feelings. None at all. I do not want a 40-hour-a-week arrangement. I don't even want, a 20 hours a week. I like this 10, 15 hours a week. thing so I can work on growing out the parts of my business that I'm really interested in. What also, let me see, I lost track of the outline that I had. Where else am I struggling? I would say that I, to an extent, feel like I'm struggling a little bit with what my social media looks like, what my YouTube looks like. And the reason that I say that is because I don't feel confident on camera. I don't know the direction that I want to take this channel. And frankly, what I just outlined, I don't know if that's what I want to do. And I know that that's crazy because that's essentially what I'm good at, that I'm sitting here saying what I do for a living, I don't know if I want to do. But the reality is that I am looking at my business holistically, futuristically, and I'm looking at what can I do to add value. And that may not be ongoing paid search management. I may transition into more and more of a teaching framework where I teach people how to run Google Ads, where I support people running Google Ads, and I do less and less of the actual day-to-day management. Again, that is where I see this going. That's where I think I want this to go, but I don't know if I'm in a position to be moving in that direction yet, if that makes sense, because obviously managing paid search is what I'm good at and that's what clients need. So yeah, I would say just even talking through that, I mean, it's probably pretty clear. I'm struggling to find my place in the market. And I guess I would say it's not only my place in the market, but I'm struggling to find my place in the market and what that looks like to what demand and clients are looking for. And frankly, what I want to do, right? So all of that. Where am I doing well? And I talked about this in what went well, but again, I was really, really burned out. And so I would say what's going well is I'm starting on that path to burnout recovery, right? So this week, in fact, right after I film this video, I am gonna go downstairs, I'm gonna ride my Peloton, I'm going to make the me time. I'm gonna go to the bank because, long story short, my bank was hacked and I was just avoiding going there to set up a new account, which is actually horrifying because my old account is like a sitting duck. So I am going to just continue the path to recovery from burnout because that is not an easy path, but I know that that is an important path for me and for really anyone who encounters me and works with me and my family and my children and everything. So I think I'm doing that well. I think, again, I know it sounds ridiculous, but making that cleaning time, making the time to catch up on laundry, making the time to be with my kids, making the time to do my other service-based commitments with the parent organization at my school, with the organization for my kids' gymnastics. Like those are important things in life. And then what are my main goals for this week? So this week, ride my Peloton / workout. Eventually I'd like to start lifting again, but that was so tiring with everything else that I stopped doing it. So ride my Peloton, start lifting again, continue to take yoga, and I did do some yoga last night. And then my other goal is to just wrap up the decks. So I am in a position with my decks, both the Ohio State one and the San Diego one, where the decks are in a good place, but I'm seriously sitting there on top of them, like trying to make them perfect. And the reality is they are not going to be perfect ever in my world. And so after I put a nail in the decks and I say these are done, I want to then go ahead and film myself presenting them and then start to work on the actual talk, the actual presentation behind the deck. So while I have a deck, the deck is a guide and I want to be able to have that talk. So I'm going to literally go through and film myself a couple times and then pull back and analyze myself talking to make sure that on stage and in class that I look good and I present how I want to present. And then also filming, finishing the decks and Peloton. And I think that is it. I think I had 3 because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. So yeah. And then I guess I will add that I will do another planning session. I did a planning session on Sunday. I will do another one midweek because I think you cannot plan enough when you're in this phase of feeling sort of up in the air. Anyway, so I don't really know how long I talked. I know that when I go back through these videos, I end up cutting out a lot of stuff but I always want to make sure that whatever I talk about, whatever I put out here, however I am, that I am as honest as possible, and that everything that I put out there helps anyone that is in this situation. So I keep putting my head down because one of the things that I do not like about myself on camera is my chin is always up. And I think my chin is always up because I keep the camera at a little bit of a higher angle. And then here, like because I keep the camera at a higher level, I have to look up to it. And yeah, so I need to play with this and figure this out. And maybe it's something where I do lower it. In fact, maybe I'll try that now on here and see how that goes. All right. Ooh. Yeah, well, okay, so I'm sitting on my knees there. Maybe that is better. I kind of like that. I don't know what you guys think. So I'm sitting on my butt on the floor, and maybe I can like angle it slightly down. Not even. What do we think of that? But that cuts off my head. What do we think of that? And then I could like lean forward, lean forward. I don't know. And then I could kind of look down at my notes like this. All right. Anyway, I can't decide. I don't know. I feel like I am not the best YouTuber yet. I'm not. And I guess I'll call that something that I don't feel like went well. Because this is like, I'm just saying, this is my dream. To teach people, to give, to teach. I know it's what I'm good at, but then I come on camera and I feel like I just clam up. All right, well, I'm gonna get going. Like always, I hope this video helps. I hope that it's not too disjointed, and yeah, I don't know. We gotta figure out this camera thing. All right.